You're supposed to have it long here. You're not really supposed to shave it much, and you're not supposed to wear a mustache.
2 years ago, I filmed an extraordinary family going through a life-changing experience. When I first met Ephraim and Amanda, they lived in a culture that shunned the modern world. They were Amish, an ultra-conservative American church where cars, electricity, and modern clothing are totally forbidden. The Amish look like they're from another century. But when Ephraim and Amanda challenged the beliefs of the Amish, they were thrown out of the church. They were shunned by their friends and family, cut off from the world they'd been born into.
It hurts to see my family struggling and my family going upside down about it.
When I last filmed with them, they were on the brink of leaving the Amish way of life for good, but they had yet to join the modern world. I often wondered if they could ever really get away from the culture that had made them who they were. I wanted to know if they could ever really leave the Amish.
Okay, let's go to the water.
It's been a few years since I last saw Ephraim and his family, and I caught up with them on a tour of the British Isles. They'd been invited over by people who'd seen the first film and had wanted to meet them. This is the first time they'd been to a beach, and it's the first time they've ever been abroad. Leaving the Amish has transformed their lives.
I hated my Amish clothes. I hated wearing suspenders. I hated everything.
I guess I can be myself now. Whereas continuing to go back to the Amish church I was trying to be someone that I'm not. My heart wasn't there anymore.
Being away from home for the first time has made them think hard about what they want to do with their lives.
It has been a time of just sitting back and reflecting and saying, what is our life supposed to be? What are we supposed to be doing? Where do we go from here? Where does the Lord want us to be? Don't you know that we're all going to appear before the judgment seat of Christ?
There's one thing Ephraim is sure of. He wants to save souls.
We've done, so if you hear my voice, please consider. Every day 150,000 people will die.
It's this kind of thing that got him thrown out of the Amish church in the first place.
There's coming a day that God is going to judge the world in sin, righteousness, and judgment. Here you go, buddy. Say trillion for you.
Above all, the Amish believe in humility. They consider Ephraim's preaching to be nothing but pride.
You can take it, read it. There's a little test there to do on the back then. Gonna turn it around. When you get some time, just do the test there, and you'll see if you get to heaven. Here you go. It's the gospel.
Ephraim spent his time here in Britain spreading the gospel. He hasn't had to work at all, and it's been a revelation.
Gospel message for you. This is amazing.
The Amish are famous for their fierce work ethic, and Ephraim's always worked hard to support his family. But no more.
Okay. Our Father, thank you for this food. We ask that you would bless it to our bodies, Father.
He's now decided to only do God's work and to trust completely in God to provide for all his family's needs.
I've always had a secure job where, money has never been an issue, and I expect the next couple of years to be different.
Okay, you got your jackets? Put some jackets on, children.
I don't want to have a 7 to 5 job, but if the Lord just provides for us, that's all we need. He says, follow me, seek my kingdom and my righteousness, everything else will be added. And that's our confidence.
And so now we're ready to head back home and really think about our life and walk the plan we have now.
Relying only on faith to sustain them, Ephraim's bringing his family back to Pennsylvania, home of the same Amish community that rejected them. Ephraim was born and raised in Lancaster County, home of the first and oldest Amish community in America. Over the centuries, America has changed dramatically, but the Amish have not, and their old-fashioned ways are nostalgically envied by their modern cousins. The unofficial capital of Amish country here in Lancaster is a small town called Intercourse. It's an ironic name for a town that attracts millions of tourists who come here to see the wholesome lifestyle of the Amish.
Yeah, we went through a tour through Amish land and saw how the people live, the Amish people. Very interesting.
They just fascinate me. The way they operate. Everything is done the old-fashioned way.
Maybe we should go back to that way of life. Maybe we'd have more peace in this world than we did.
The tourists who come here see a chocolate box version of the Amish.
They don't fight amongst each other. They don't have a whole bunch of politics. They all eat the same way. They all dress the same way. They all work the same way. They all travel the same way. So, there's no competition, which makes life happy.
Hey YouTube, Mochismo Eugene. Once again, exit strategy video for you guys. I had promised to come back again at some point and talk about the most recent relationship I was in, or relationship, I guess. Very short-lived, and I'm going to talk for probably could be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, it could even be an hour, because I'm going to pull most of the stops out, because this video I'm making today will give you stark details and what I encountered with this individual, who now I've concluded very well could be or is a covert narcissist. And as we recover and heal from what we're going through, or what we've been through, if you will, and probably some of us are still going through it, because you may have children with some of these demons, and that's what I call them, because they're demons. They're human in appearance, but they're demon possessed is what I really mean. Not really being here taking pot shots at human beings, but that's what I call them, and I stand on that. Anything less would be uncivilized. Let's be clear about it. If you're a person of integrity and you have some pretty decent morals, you don't fall in that category. You don't have an agenda for dark, demonic activities and behavior towards other people. You don't mean any harm to other people. These people do. Obviously, if you understand the dynamics of what they are, by definition, they come into your life to kill, steal, and destroy you, which is the same thing. Satan comes into your life by way of spiritual warfare and different things like that. But not getting off the beaten path, the video that you saw probably 7 minutes prior to me coming on, I had to do it 4 or 5 times, because instead of pushing pause, I ended up pushing stop. I'm doing it really bootleg style from my phone. I have a GoPro. I think I've uploaded some of these videos in the past through GoPro. I'm not into the technical stuff at this point, but like I said, the videos may get to a point where they may become better. I may just do the whole 9 yards and get a real, snazzy channel. But right now we're gonna do it the way I'm doing it, and I feel comfortable doing it this way. The main thing is to get the information out. Now, this individual, I met her at a Lowe's. When I say I met her, I didn't engage with them. They actually engaged with me. That's my daughter. They engaged with me because this is the way it often happens with a lot of us. You can get up with your own agenda of getting up. I got to go to the store. I got to do this. I got to do that. This particular day, I was going to purchase paint because I had a job project I was doing for a customer, and I needed more paint. I was at the paint desk inquiring to the associate to get me some paint. And I had told him what kind it was. I needed some more. I ran out. And he looked in the computer. He saw they had 5 gallons, or actually multiple 5-gallon pails, but they were in the back of the store, stored somewhere. And he gave me the spiel, I can't go back there. We're not allowed. To which I said, how are you not allowed? Can you get me a manager or someone that's authorized? And he said that. He retorted, nobody can go back there. So do the math with that one, guys. But my principal point for bringing that up is I was engaged with this associate, and I could tell that he wanted to do the very minimal. And that's the way sloths are. They just want to clock in and be there and not really do anything. Which society is coming in at. Everyone in society is doing that. They just want to be there, hold the position, and tell everybody else what to do, stand around, yak, yak, yak. So, please, I'm doing a video right now. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, I will continue to try to finish this video if I can. I actually was engaging with him, and he wasn't trying to help me out in any way, not even to get the manager. And I just politely said, well, you know what, thank you, I appreciate it. I'm going to go over here to the returns desk or the customer service desk, and I'll see if they can help me out a little bit. Appreciate it. I get over there. Unbeknownst to me, there's a woman standing in the shadows behind me, to which I'm not really noticing. So I engage with or interact, a dialogue with one of the associates. And it was very respectful, and I was just asking them if they could get me a manager, because as I told you, I gave her a spiel of the associate said he couldn't go back there and get it. And to which I believed in my heart that there's somebody here that can do it. And off from a distance, I hear somebody say, they're not gonna do it, they don't wanna do anything, they don't care. And then I turned to her and I said, well, today I will see if I can get them to care. And so she drew me in that conversation, or in the conversation, or she drew herself into the conversation. So as I'm waiting for them to page a manager, I look and see that she was in need of some assistance. I said, what are you here inquiring about? Since you observed what I was doing, she was like, oh, I'm just returning some flooring. It's in my car and I can't get anybody here to go out there and get it. Bingo. And I was like, well, I'm waiting. I got a couple minutes. Where's the flooring? I'll go get it. Because the time you're going to get an associate to get it, if you can get an associate, it's probably not going to be anytime soon. So I'll do it for you. Nonchalantly, not even an interest there of any sort. So in the way to the car, she begins to yak, and we begin to sort of give off a little bit of chemistry. It's a beautiful summer day, so I'm like, I get the flooring back in the store. I don't know the dynamics of what happened from this point here, but obviously you can tell where this is going. We began to interact, just a little verbal, nonchalant talking, and I said, well, is there anything else I can do for you? She said, no, I'm just going to go back into lumber and just to take a peek at some stuff beforehand because I'm doing my house. I'll say, oh, okay, well, since I'm waiting, I'm going to walk back to lumber with you. Since the associate, I believe, had told me that they were going to get someone to get the paint for me. And so I said, I'll be back in 5 minutes. So we walked down the aisle to the lumber, basically just strolling and talking. It was kind of like we was like hitting it off, good dialogue. Just talk about the house or homes and my future goals, and just like bouncing off of each other, which is what a normal, natural conversation should be. And in my mind, I thought that that's what it was. And by all accounts, that is what I saw, but that is probably all I wanted to see, because guess what? These people, they come in very smooth. They come in very non-assuming. And even with the tentacles up to some degree, we miss certain things. Because when they see you, they know the moment to capture your attention and to get you in that mode of unassuming what they are. They have to scan you, almost like the Terminator when he did what he did in his movie. He was always scanning, and the information and the intel was coming back to determine whether that person was feasible for whatever he was about to carry out. And so I attribute that to a narcissist as well. So anyway, we continued to go down the aisle. We headed back towards customer service, and I believe they told me something to the point of they didn't have it, they looked, and they didn't have it in the store. And so I told them, okay, that's fine. I'll just have to try back another day. So we both headed out, going to the parking lot, and I had told her, hey, it was nice talking to you, blah, 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 blah. And I say, here, I'm going to give you one of my cards. I say, you know, I do excavation landscaping, and I also do remodeling, and I do a little bit of handiwork. So if you got something that is over your skill level, I don't know, reach out to me. Maybe we can, you know, I can give you some pointers. You're on a budget. You just bought a house cheap, and you're doing all the work yourself. Blah 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 blah. Decent young lady, almost close to my age, and so I'm thinking, okay, no big deal. Gave her my card. Essentially, I guess they text me, or I think they gave me their number, and I gave them my card, so we exchanged. And so I don't know what the first text was, and I think I might have said, I don't remember your name, and they replied and gave me their name. So anyway, eventually we connected. Either we talked over the phone or we text something. It was small talk. So obviously I had a little bit of an interest there. I was like, wow, you know, ain't nothing going on in my life. It's been a while, like maybe a year or so. Why not? You know, talking about a relationship. It's been a while. So I was like, you know, okay, I'll entertain this individual from, you know, a safe distance, and I'll ensure that until I know, I won't expose my children to them. They'll have limited access to me. And even on the surface, I was like, no, they won't know where I live, blah, blah, blah. And so they were forthcoming with where they lived. And I told them I lived in the area I lived. And we sort of gradually started trusting some small information to each other. And so on and on and on. I guess they told me they had two jobs. One of them was at the distribution center, which was an hour away from where they lived. And then they had another job working at a place where they, an animal hospital, where they had 10, 15 years there, but only 2 or 3 at the distribution center. And I'm like, you got 2 jobs going in 2 different directions. One is like 45-minute drive one way from your house, and another one is an hour in the opposite direction of your house. It's a lot of driving around. They downplay like, oh, it's no big deal. Just gotta do what I gotta do. They was living in the country. And they had a son. Now, mind you, this individual was near almost in her late 40s, and she has a 5-year-old son. Now, this is no detriment to her because that's a beautiful thing. Only child. And the child's like 5 years old about now, I think, yeah. And they just had a birthday, so they're shy of 50, you know, give or take. So we exchanged that conversation. I told them I had, twins or a girl, just on the surface stuff, no names or anything like that. I think she gave me her son name at one point, to which I don't remember. I never met her son. She never met my children. We began to engage and interact with each other here and there. Got to the point where we moved to the stage of visit. She came to see me on, I think, a total of maybe 6 times maybe 6 to 8 times within the month or 2 that I was involved with them. About 4 to 4 weeks into this situation, when they came to visit me, they had, I would like to say, a little meltdown or a little bit of an aggressive contention, to which I began to recognize that there were some real telltale signs of borderline. Because at this point, I hadn't determined that they had narcissistic personality disorder, because they didn't speak, not so much spoke evil against their prior relationship or boyfriends or past relationship. They actually kind of spoke a little bit of endearing towards them, like, oh, I met him when I was 17, it was 30 something. I was out in the world drinking, I was in the street, the bars, so wayward, whatever. I was like, da 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 da. I say basically he saw you as a young girl, and he actually took that and he played leverage on that. So I'm kind of playing into this narrative of older man, get this young girl. You were not even mature enough to make sound decisions. She was like, oh, yeah, I was able to, I knew what I was doing. But, downplaying that particular role of him, I don't want to say taking advantage, but capitalizing on her youth and her naivety and being gullible. So anyway, we had conversations, never any conversations that were intense or debating. She would always say this, the other side of that is this and that. It would be just any conversation. It would always be but the other side of that is, it would always be a spin. So now I'm starting to realize that this is her pet word. And one day I just basically threw it out and say, well, why is there always the other side of, you say that a lot. I say, is that your favorite word? So I'm actually just trying to see, where is this coming from? They didn't give me a direct answer. It was kind of like, not deflecting, but kind of took the conversation, downplaying it. And so now, them downplaying the conversation, I never detected any emotional intensity by them, so I didn't think there was, any offense there, because I was genuinely asking why, in many ways, did the conversation sound so repetitive and robotic. Because actually, guys, I'm lurking to see if this is someone that's true to their humanity, or is this someone who is mimicking or has adopted some type of catchphrase that they can't find any other words to say. And so, relationship, or a little bit of the, whatever you want to call it, I would say relationship for lack of a better word, but it wasn't. It was an intimate ship, or sexual ship, because that's basically what we ended up doing. Most often they would come, they would have like maybe 3 to 6 hours here, because they would often come with only a little bit of sleep, and me being a little bit sympathetic, I would actually say, you need some rest. So we would spend some time, and they were never rushed, is why I felt like this was so not one of these situations as in the past. And so I began to just, in a relaxed way, enjoy the moment and the time we had and interacting and having seemingly mature conversations. And so the meltdown I was telling you about this particular night, I don't know what happened and how it began. You never can remember. It's always got to be something. It's very simple. It doesn't even really have to, because what's happening is they want to get space between you and them. They have something else on their agenda. And this meeting of sorts, they just want to make a dash, come in and get their rocks off and create chaos. And I don't know if something happened with us as far as the intercourse that night or not, but I do know they got dressed and said, you know what, listen, I'm gonna blah blah blah, I'm leaving because you know this seems like blah blah blah, just conversations like not working out. And I'm like, okay, you can leave if you're uncomfortable talking about what we're talking about. And so they began to yak in the kitchen with the door open near the back door. And I'm like, you know, are you leaving or are you staying? And they would just stand in the back hallway door. Now this actually was reminiscent of the German girl. And you guys in watching this video, if you guys can relate to looking back at some relationships, if you can kind of see some relationships that almost had distinct similarities down to the T, please let me know, because I can relate to a lot of relationships that had some very identical parallels to them down to the T. As I think back, and as you progress in your healing, you think back. So anyway, she's pretty much at a standoff of the door in the kitchen. So what they are wanting me to do, or you to do when they do this, they want you to actually play up to, or beg, or plead for them to come back, and let's just like forget about everything and just, you know, forget it never ever happened. I'm actually seeing a foreshadow of things already. That is what I think they're hungry for, or to hear. So I'm saying to myself, I'm playing my cards. I'm being very, very not resistant. I'm being very frugal with that kind of come on. And so I'm just letting this play itself out on their part. And so as I said, you're leaving, that's fine. I'm not going to force you to stay where you're not okay with being. And so this is where they start turning the narrative. Oh, but you know, you. And I say, well, I'm sorry if that's the way you feel. That's the way you feel. That's not what I'm doing, but you know. So that's what you're doing. You're standing in your boundary. And you'll see they'll continue to try to draw you into that narrative of blaming you or wanting you to accept all the responsibility for the blow up, to which it wasn't worth me to say. And I continue to say, are you leaving or are you staying? Because at this point, you're just standing in the hallway and you're getting a little bit progressively loud, to which no one is in my house or in the premises. At that point, nobody was living in this house but me. Downstairs was vacant up until about a week ago. And so they basically was not going one way or the other. And so I said, you need to make a decision, because I would rather you not be standing in my hallway and I'm leaving to go back to the bedroom to go to bed. And so I did that. And so eventually what I believe they did that night was leave. Again, I could care less about whether she stayed or left. So I kind of don't remember, but I do remember this. We actually, I guess, I don't want to say patched it up, but I reached out, and I guess there was one more instance where they came around. And at this point, you guys already know, I've already formed my conclusion on what I believe I'm dealing with here. At this point, I'm really truly believing. Oh, this night when she did decide to come back in, she came back in and she sat at the table. And I just could not resist standing beside her at the table as she sat, side to side. And I bent over and I said, listen, I said, I really want to tell you what I think you're wrestling with here. And I got a sticky. I said, no, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to write it down. And I went there, guys. I put the word borderline personality disorder. Now, notice I stopped short of you know what. And when I first met them, I didn't mention this part. I had kind of nonchalantly said, you know, I got a YouTube channel because of the ex-nightmare I was involved with. Now, her curiosity was not that huge in the beginning, but with that break in that little sexual friendship, whatever you call it, when she finally did leave this particular night I'm speaking of, there was sort of like a week, 2 hiatus. Then I believe they got COVID. And thank God that we had that distance because I probably would have had it. Where they got it from, they can't tell me. They say somebody at work, in her words, she doesn't actually spend that kind of time in close proximity with people. But of course, COVID can be spread through the air, I know, from what they say. But I'm willing to believe she had close proximity with someone, to which it was an Asian kid. She said was 19, young enough to be her son. Always doted on this kid when she first met me. And I used to ask her, like, you know, this kid, you feel like you his mom? I say, and she told me one day, and this was a gaslighting triangulation. She mentioned that he came to her house. He needed to borrow some money, to which she told him, come to my house, but stop at the road and I'll bring the money out to you. I had the opportunity to go to her house. On one occasion, that was the first and last time I went to her house. I donated one of the little Power Wheel trucks for her son, and I went during the night hours, and I didn't want to get close to her because she was still wrestling with the COVID. So anyway, she met me outside, and I gave her, delivered this thing with the battery and everything, charged it overnight, didn't know whether it ran or not. I tried it, it didn't do anything, but I told her if she putter around with it, maybe it was something I wasn't doing, maybe her kid could show her. So that particular toy ended up mysteriously disappearing from her front yard. She said no one steals right down in her area, into which I don't believe it's an area. It's not a cul-de-sac. The houses are so close together, I wouldn't think someone would take this thing off the front lawn. So one day, mysteriously, she texted me, "Did you take the truck?" Something within my soul tells me she threw that away out of hatred and hostility. They hate you. And so this was leverage too. She could use that to say that the father, the baby's father, wanted to give the illusion that in my mind, wanted to plant a seed in my mind by asking me, did you take the thing? It's gone. So I'm thinking deep down in my soul that this girl threw this away, gave it away, trashed it, because she wants me to be jacked up, because she wants to hope that I would think that the baby daddy that she doesn't deal with to some degree took it. So now I'm hostile, which is what I think the design was with that. Now going back to when I wrote down personality disorder, borderline, she immediately looked at the paper and was like, no, I don't have that. And I was like, hey, listen, man. I say, I don't know what you dealing with per se, but this definitely resembles that. And I said a lot of times, whatever you've been through in your life, maybe that has something that to do with it. So I threw that out there purposely because what that did at that point, I was already pretty much done with that situation. Even though I was kind of like not trauma bonded, but you know, the residuals. I was like, but is it worth my soul and my livelihood to continue on with something that I knew was not authentic? So I figured, what the hell? Put it on the paper. And what this does, guys, once you do, never tell a narcissist that you think they are a narcissist. Don't do that. I wouldn't even advise telling them they borderline personality disorder, but I'm on something different, man. You know, I'm able to live by, you know, these convictions and the things and the decisions I make, and we all got to make our own decisions. I'm not encouraging anyone to out anyone. So this video serves to tell you this specific ordeal I went through, because in the end of this video you're going to understand why I'm actually talking about this video. Because remember, keep in mind that I wrote borderline personality disorder on that paper. So there was a little bit of a hiatus. She had the COVID, and I actually took the truck down, came back home, and when she finally was out of the woods with the COVID, obviously me and her both was feeling each other. We still had some interest in each other. So somehow or another, she ended up, they didn't ask to see me. I think they said miss you. Not I miss you, miss you. That's kind of how they talk, miss you. Miss you. Need a hug. Not I need a hug. Need a hug, miss you. And so I was like, miss you too. So we both probably thinking the same thing. It's all about the physical. Definitely for me, because there was no emotional attachment to this person at this point. I couldn't have it, because there was so much about these demons that if you're getting healthy, you want no part of it. Even if the intimacy is banging. And so, you know, as much as I'm not trying to embellish this, the next time we interacted, we got together and we romped around a little bit, and I don't know, I think they ended up, they left. We left on decent terms. It wasn't an issue of sorts. And so I called and we had a conversation, or we talked over the phone. And so she uttered out that, and my concerns were, I just had a dialogue. I remember I called because at this point now it's time to start having somewhat of a, not an interrogation, but somewhat of a dialogue with this person. I need for her to, you know, verbatimly tell me, what is your situation with this arrangement of sorts? Because when I first met her, she was letting the father of the child, who's 60 years old, come over and spend a couple hours in the house, because she said she didn't trust him with this child apart from her supervision. This is control. I knew this sort of in the beginning, but the way they spoke, it didn't seem obvious like they was trying to control. They were almost like pitting this guy to be, he's irresponsible, he drinks, blah, 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 blah. Guys, I know what you're thinking. I should have known. She was downplaying what she was, upplaying what he was. I'm listening though, but what they don't understand and what they don't anticipate is you're going to pay attention to detail. When you're awake, you pay attention to detail. You listen to everything that they say, almost like a narcissist, but you're listening for your defense and your good. They're listening to you to gain intel for your demise. So in many ways, when you're awakened, we act almost like the narcissist because we take attention to detail more so than we ever did, but for good, not for evil, not for a person's detriment. So embrace that, guys. If you're vigilant, embrace it. You're not crazy. You're not overreacting. It could save your life. It could get you out of relationships like this one I was in very quickly before you lose yourself. So anyway, I don't think she poked around my house like the other ones did. And then I also alluded to her and told her, you see those cameras? I got a couple inside of the house. They're constantly monitoring us. So I think they were a little bit kind of skeeved out or a little bit hesitant to probably snoop around. So always throw those things out there to people who you might not know well enough when you're leaving them unsupervised in your house or around your house. I wouldn't even encourage you to let one stay in your house out of your supervision. Short of going to the bathroom, shouldn't be extended amounts of time. But throw that out there. Just say it could be a dummy camera. Say, I got cameras in here. Even if they don't see them. Just say, I got cameras in and out of my house. And then they may say where. Just say, they're discreet. Don't worry about it. And they won't persist, I don't think, to inquire. So the conversation I had with her was this. You told me before he no longer comes to the house. You got a report by the police. They came, or she said, no, they didn't come. I just made a police report. I said, oh, you did. So that's nice. I said, you know what? I'm kind of at a point where I think the relationship with us, me and you have the same mindset. We want to grow in many ways. We want to have things in life, and we have the same life pattern or life goals. And I say, why don't you get that report? And I'd like to see it, because she was basically like naming what he could do and what he can't do. And I say, because I don't want to be involved with a woman that has issues such as you say. And she said, no, he can't. I don't have any issues. It's just, he's going to be like he is. I can't control him. I said, well, you know what? From what you tell me, this guy, you're afraid, can't do what you want to do. You can't even live your own life. You have your own house you just bought, and you're still, in many ways, from what you say, he has full control in your personal life. You said that you don't know what he could do if he see you with another man. Well, that's with anything, but the way you make that sound is like, you putting me in a situation into which I'm not at liberty to be in. I don't need to be in it. I refuse to be in it. So right now, this is the line in the sand. I'm up in the ante. I'm really putting my foot on the accelerator. And you have to do this. Before you put too much time into this situation, you have to put your foot down on the pedal. It's all or nothing before you become emotionally attached. And so she started to put up a little bit of a verbal resistance. She's like, she said, I didn't call the police on him. I just made a report. So now she's dumbing it down. So, so how you verbally called them on the phone? She said, no, it's a written report. I made it. No, and she said, no, it's not a report. I made a statement. I said, how's that? You made a statement. So they have it at the police station, right? The statement. She said, yeah. I said, well, I'd like to see that. I said, that'd be nice. I said, if you don't mind being transparent. She's like, I'm not going way down there. That's an hour away just to get that. I don't need that. And when she said that, I said, you don't need it. I said, but I definitely would like to have it or even see it. I don't need to possess it. I would love to see it just because we need some transparency. I said, because when you think a guy that's really interested in you and sincere wants to, build a life with you, that respects you, likes you, and you say you like him, when you think that'd be a small thing to have, and that's when you could hear and detect it was undeniable. I wish I had a recording of it, but sometimes, when you're going through this stuff, you don't even care to record these insidious things that these people do because you already know in your heart of hearts what you need to know. And I don't get off on sharing this stuff with anybody. And I have a couple of recordings of us, by the way, to that point, because I just thought at one point it was very needed, and may keep it. Who knows? I'm big on that. I wouldn't even care what people think about the whole idea of the recording, and I would encourage anyone who feels a little bit unnerved being about things, document it. You must do this because these people will turn the tables. They will say they didn't say something they said. You don't need it to put in their face. You need it for you to replay it to you. So you know that you have the balance. You're not just assuming you didn't say something or said something. You'll know definitively. So this is for your sanity and your balance and your health going forward. So I encourage that. So anyway, that conversation went left, and she inevitably hung the phone up because she couldn't stand for me to continue to persist in wanting that small thing. You know, can I see it? You know, I wasn't being pushy. I wasn't being verbally loud or hostile. I was just calm. I was like, you know, I really would like to see it. I say, and I was showing her all the reasons why I believe that it shouldn't have been anything out of the ordinary. And I assured her it's not because I think that you're being deceiving. You know, no, you think I'm lying. I said, no, it has nothing to do with that. I said, furthermore, I really would like to see it for another second reason. I would like to see the dialogue in which you wrote this or you reported this, so I can better gauge the details of what perpetuated this, what went along. I mean, I'm hearing your version. I'm taking it at face value. I say, wouldn't you want that to be a transparent thing? Oh, you think I'm lying? So right away, they was trying to convince me that I thought they were lying. Be watchful of this. They always try to arm wrestle you out of your position on things, your stance. Be very careful. Family members will do it too. They'll talk you out of your convictions. And so I'm glad I made this tonight because I was really wanting to go to bed early, but I think I'll sleep well after getting this off of my chest, because I had been promising you guys I would give you this. So now, coming to the end of this video, the conversation, she hung the phone up. Now, we haven't had a word since then, short of, I think, maybe the same night or maybe the next morning. You know, they write a long book, and that's a telltale sign. They go in, and in that book, they try to turn the narrative, and it's sort of like giving all of the responsibility to you. They'll say something, and they'll word it like, you know, I want peace. I want a good relationship without all the distrust. I want, if you don't want that, that's on you. That kind of thing. Getting away from the primary issue of, well, you know, I got thinking, you know, that's not a big thing that you're asking for me to do. None of that. You ain't gonna hear that. They're trying to throw you off the trail, the scent, if you will. They don't want to talk about that anymore. They'll wake up the next day, hey, how you doing? I just called, miss you, thinking about you. And then you say, well, yeah, I was thinking about you too. And I was thinking about that conversation that before you hung up, are you going to go down to the police station? We never had that conversation. I was just using that as an example. They'll go left. They don't want to talk about that thing. They don't want to resume or pick up where you left off at. And they're good at acting like that conversation never happened. Of course, you guys know this. So I think my text, paraphrasing, after all this long book, to which I wasn't going to even reply to it, I said, paraphrasing, I said, nothing, I did the math, nothing adds up. Gave you the benefit of the doubt. I'm good. Like that. And they say, good for you. That's the last I heard of. And that was probably, I don't know, a month ago. You know, the narcissist's wife I married got me fired from my job. You know, they'll get you fired from your job mysteriously, unbeknownst to you. And when I began to wake up in 2020, I saw a video where a content creator specifically went word for word in how they do different things, and they mentioned they'll get you fired. And since then, I've heard it from different videos. This is this is their pedigree. This is in their MO. They'll get you fired. They'll get you. You lose your business. You lose your home. They'll just knock all of the bricks from under the foundation of your house, metaphorically, and maybe physically. So, haven't heard anything from them since that last text, but this is where I want to get real deep and focused on why this video was so important to make. About 2 weeks ago, I got a call, and it was from CPS. Mind you, this individual never met my kids, and I will. Oh, I also mentioned I had the YouTube channel because of the ex-narc I married. I mentioned that early on in the little situation with me and this individual. They didn't seem to be that interested in the channel, but somewhere along the way, shortly when I think there was a little bit of a break where I mentioned to you guys, I got a text and they say, "What was your channel again?" To which I responded, "Oh, it's not anything important. You wouldn't be interested in it." See, I knew that was not something that I was willing to give away, and that's something you shouldn't give away, even to the new relationship, until you know that this is someone, either an empath that shares the same insight you do with this demonic thing, and they've gone through it and experienced it, and you really have to vet them to know, not just sound bites. You gotta watch it. If they're mirroring everything you're saying, "Oh, I've been through a narcissistic abuse relationship," "No, I did too," because I've met and been involved with some that went down that road too, to which they wasn't involved in a narcissistic relationship. They were the ones that put these people through hell. And I told you that I would erase this blackboard. And when I had someone come in to visit me in any capacity, there's only a few people in my area that know my channel, and maybe more than I even know. And if you're watching me and you getting the word out in a good way, and if you're getting the word out saying, "Oh, he's a kook," same thing. Because those times are gonna come. I want to tell my story the way I know it happened, because it's your story. And thing about empath, we really don't care about validation. We don't care about whether people believe us or not. We're just here to share, because if we don't tell what really truly happened, this thing will persist and will continue to go on. These people are masters, man. And this is how you find out where your true friends are at anyway, because this is a good time to exterminate and fumigate your life. It's 2023. We're not free. Not free 2023. We're not playing those games. And God is opening these floodgates, and he's making a lot of people aware that these people exist. This is public enemy number one, as Dave Narcology, Unscripted, has said, and many others. This is the worst pestilence, short of the revisit of Christ. I believe we're in the Revelations, and he's waking us up through revealing narcissists through us, through this information. He wants us to be woke. Now, about the channel, I didn't divulge that to them. I knew that caused a little bit of hostility, to which I never saw it. But I'm going to tell you, the covert narcissists, that's that part of it. I think they were very, very good at holding and hiding their disorder. Almost got me hoodwinked. To some degree they did. Because you put your heart first rather than your head. You reason yourself out of what your heart shouldn't, or your heart should be rejecting. So, where was I? CPS investigation. I got a call, and the CPS officer wanted to meet with me. We set it up. They came. Apparently, anonymously, someone reported a CPS investigation. Didn't say whether it was a man or a woman. The report was made on December 6th, I think. I didn't get the call, and the letter was probably in my mailbox for probably a week or two prior to the person setting up a visit with me. They wasn't able to contact me because I'm hard to reach. I don't have a doorbell. You call me, my voicemail is always full. Kind of been that way before I even awoken from narcissistic personality disorder abuse. I was always that way. That intuition I had, now I know I'm a true empath because I always have that apprehension. But obviously, I got abused a little bit by a narcissist. We're not perfect. This is a learning curve. God is showing us as much as He can. Some of us didn't get damaged as bad as the narcissist wanted to damage us. We have our solitude, we have our reasoning, we have our faculties, and the ones that didn't get out quite as well, God can restore, He can repair what the locust has eaten. The Bible said He will replace what the locust has eaten or taken. So, getting off on that tangent about the YouTube channel, they didn't know the channel. So, no contact after her last text, shut it down. I still have their number, they still have my number. Those things I don't have to worry about that. Haven't had the Hoover yet, but I'm trying to show you, don't perceive having the Hoover. What they did is call CPS and make an anonymous report. This is what the report suggests or alleges. Did it say hit? The officer kind of read it to me. They didn't show it to me. Hope it's not just a big coup, C-O-E, or how do you say it, C-O-O, coup, when people get together and behind closed doors. This one knows this one, and because they're in a position to come out and influence, they can come out on a mock meeting, might not even be authorized through CPS. That's how I be thinking. They may even know a friend of a friend. Oh, I'm a CPS investigator, I got cards, but I don't think so because this is a person who works for CPS. Or if it is a coup, they could have the report could have anonymously been, but I don't think they get to choose which client they come to see. See, I'm overthinking. See how that vigilance does you, man? You start thinking of all kinds of stuff. Just think healthy and relaxed, Calvin. So, what they did, mysteriously, allegedly said, I hit my daughter repeatedly on her back. This happened in the summer. He hits his daughter. And I don't even think they knew her name, didn't say it right, or whatever. It was just a big cop job, to which I'm never concerned or overly concerned. Anyway, I'm always concerned, but never overly concerned about these reports I went through with the baby's mom, with their mom, for 5 years before I got custody. All of you don't know, I have custody of my twins. They just turned 13. Beautiful children, very respectful children, A students, honor students, young scholar students. And I emphasize again, not because of me helping them with their homework. I just want to believe that I set an environment for them to be able to just function and flourish as children should. And besides that, I think God's hand is in that. He has a blessing on my life. I have a wonderful job now. The job I had before the narcissist got me fired. They shut the country down as soon as that happened, and I was unemployed, making more money, almost double if not triple a week than I would have made working. Had peace, more time with my kids. See, what the devil tries to take means for bad, God used for devil used for evil, God uses for good. This is all scripture. And I'm not a devout worshiper, but when you believe in God and He has your spirit, or you have His spirit in you, and you have His mind, you don't have these problems long. He deals with this. Now, I know you guys been waiting. for me to continue and finish this story, the CPS investigation. It isn't closed yet, but I want to divulge this to you, YouTube, and all of the people who follow me here. I'm not concerned about this. I'm only telling you guys this because I know somebody's going through something way worse, or you disgusted, you frustrated, you've overly verbalized, and you're staying, I didn't do that. You don't have to do that. That's going to exhaust you. It's going to mentally destroy you. Let your silence speak volumes. I adopted that saying. Silence speaks volumes. Let the lie tell the truth all by itself. And so, the lady comes, very cordial. We kind of go back and forth talking, and she's very polite. She even emphasized, hey, I wouldn't even be worrying about it. It ain't a big deal, because obviously they're stating this happened in the summer. Here we are in December, and they report this. It says, probably going to be unfounded, but I'm going to do a follow-up, talk to the mother of the children. Now, that's the thing that, if anything bothers me, when these CPS investigations or these alleged allegations, you know, I don't deal with the mother in a big way. I communicate everything through the children, and the children don't communicate anything per se by her through me or through them. If they need to do something, they want to do something with their mom, they say, well, Mom, want to do this? I say, sure, whatever you guys want. It's always whatever they want. So there's peace in the Middle East with me. Never mattering about who else has chaos. I don't know whether they do or not. I'm in a good place. I hope they are too. You know, I wish people well, but, you know, they wish you hell. So, I don't know if that's true with her, but I would guess and assume so, because when you don't have peace, misery love company. So that's not a guess, we know that. But these many years have passed, I've progressed, and I've done better than I was doing before I even met these people. And this is no different. It is just sad to me to have to conclude that I went from borderline personality disorder, because I've said before, borderline personality disorder people, in my opinion and from my experience, they go their way. I don't think they seek to be problematic and cause you detriment or reach back and try to throw mud in your face, such as the CPS investigation, because that's serious. It can be very serious, because guess that takes leverage away from you, and that could leverage my children back to the mom if the cases are strong enough. And sometimes, who knows? I don't know what dynamics they're playing with. You just rather have that stuff not even be an issue. And I live a pretty clean, decent life. You know, I have a few struggles in the flesh, you know, with lust and whatnot. I never kept that a secret. But, you know, I'm a pretty decent person. I try to treat people as much as I can with decency and respect, just as you want respect. And so I'm proud of that. You know, I believe that that's what we all should be proud of. But these people, they come to take away whatever good nature you have. And you end up not even recognizing who you are if you allow these people to get leverage and an edge on you. So, in all, I think they did a slam dunk. They had to go out with a bang, if you will, because what they're mad about is I snatched their pacifier from them, and they wasn't done. They're still hungry. They're still hungry. They didn't get as far in the destroying process as they wanted to. Now they have themselves to deal with, the old man, baby father, which I know all along that she was probably trying to keep him in the loop, like they all do. Just one little more trinket on the string that they could play around with. And I wanted to add to The reason why I did the Amish segment or portion of it beginning before I came in, because I wanted you guys, and that's what sparked me to go ahead and put this out, because I'm going to name this video, title it, Narcissists Leeching Off of the Amish. And the reason why I said leeching off of the Amish, this specific girl, she shares her kids with an Amish family. She takes them almost 40 minutes or whatever. Everything's long distance. It's out off the beaten path. She doesn't have any relations with her family. All of those relationships are destroyed, whatever. Let them tell it. And that's always the case. They'll tell you they ain't got no relationships. And if they do have a family circle, you'll find they're very clammy. They'll all come around you. They'll adore you, like adore you prematurely, quicker than they normally should. And so, she shares her kids with the Amish, to which I don't believe she really pays them anything for sitting for her, to which she told me that. So she's leeching, freeloader with an odor. And I kind of emphasized that so at one point. I said, well, you're not in the Amish. What is the benefit that they're getting from this? She said, they don't want to take no money, blah, blah, blah. How she happened upon these people, she said, oh, he's being raised in the Amish circle. He's being raised Amish. I'm not judging. I'm not putting anyone down for doing that. If it's a healthy approach, she doesn't partake in the Amish services. She doesn't believe Amish. She doesn't embrace Amish belief. She doesn't dress Amish. So she happened upon these people probably at Lowe's. And they probably looked at the little boy and said, he's beautiful. And she's lured them into some kind of interaction, probably went out and bought vegetables, and that led to one thing, because she's got the gift of gab too. And what people want to believe, when you as an empath are very sociable and you have the gift of gab, some of us who are awakened that are not really intuitive to what narcissists really are, we're hyper vigilant. At first, I began to see a lot of people as narcissists that I don't now believe are narcissists, because sometimes people are very engaging, they're very articulate, they're very outspoken, very verbal, for one reason or another. So always get all of the data and get all of the intel that you need. Always approach everyone with the belief that they potentially are narcissists. Me, I think everybody are narcissists, including me. Until I'm not a narcissist and I can disprove that, that's what I used to say when I first started this. Even though I'm being a little bit comical about that, in a healthy way, you must approach everyone with the core idea that they have the propensity to be a narcissist. A lot of us have a lot of narcissistic traits and behavior, to which on a daily I really try to turn that down, that knob, because I really don't want to be that person. I don't even want to be associated in those circles, because nothing about these people is anything to brag about. And so hurting people and bragging about how you got over on somebody and different things. So to end this video, guys, that's what happened. I got a CPS report because they didn't just go their way and just be gone, like a lot of borderline personality disorder people tend to do, in my opinion. I could be wrong about that. Tell me what your experiences have been with what you perceived as borderline personality disorder, relationships, interactions, as opposed to narcissistic personality disorder people. I put them all in the same category, but that's just one distinct difference. If there are any other differences that you think that you've experienced with these people, please comment. With that, bless. Keep the change.